Hello and welcome to TJ Atarian. You join me here in the middle of my Supercolor CPU upgrade video, trying to hide the slack from the video connector cable, and I'm just about to embark on something a little bit unrelated from the install that I'm doing.
Right, let's have a look. We've ended up losing the slack sort of behind there, which is not where I expected it to go, but it really doesn't actually matter because you can't see any of that. Now that cable, we'll revisit this soon. That is the connector for the ATR switch, and it's not got its final location yet, so it's waving in the breeze, and it's now got caught. Oh, damn it, because we just got that in a nice position. There we go. Right, we're in. Right, so as is often the case, I'm just going to slightly reverse something I've been doing, as I remembered. Let's get that out of the way. Remembered a little side quest I was going to do. So this is the cable for the ATR disc switch, which if you look at Flash Jazz Cat's install of the Incognito, he does some rather interesting stuff at the bottom right on the power light and turns that into a switch. You need to shave the plastic off, you need to sort of, it's kind of beyond what I want to do with this machine. So I've found another solution, so a little side quest here, but first of all we need to route this cable out and we need to get it in that direction. And I've already done some screws up here, so I'm going to have to loosen them off again. Right, what we're going to do. So we need to find a cunning way to get this guy out. I feel down and out the way would be great, which means taking this off again, which is annoying. Yep, okay, let's do this. So, where can we travel? Never easy. Let's remove the Incognito. Have a look underneath. Yeah. Let's have everything going the same way, eh? So that means out here. Already put a join on this. Let's make sure that at least goes through the hole, and then we can mess about with it on the other side. Okay. Sure, the cables sit to snugly to the left of where we're inserting the card, and we're back in. Now we've got this guy here. Still not happy with that. Go with your friends. The other side of the ribbon cable, preferably. Okay. There we go, that tucks nicely out of the way there. And then I guess, first things first, we have a join. Just put a tiny bit of tape around that to stop it coming off. Okay, so you're going that way. And probably, no doubt, need another join. Ugh. Let's do this nightmare again. Straighten it out, and this guy, where's he going to go next? And remember, we had to lose this slack just under the board here in this recess, and I think we're good. Let's check we've got our fly cable coming out there. We have, and we can put it all back together. Okay. Tuck that nicely under there. Right, let's just move this out of the way for a moment. Now, this is a bit that I may not show if it's not successful, but Flash Jazz Cat's method of using the power button wasn't for me. So I was having a little look at this power board, and one thing I realised was, have a look at the side there, you've got your power input, you've got your switch on off, you've got your SIO peripheral port, you've got your display port that we've hooked into. What's this? That is an RF channel selector, channel 2 or 3, different options for what RF frequency you were putting out, completely redundant now. So I thought to myself, aha, there's a switch. Not sort of ideal because it isn't just a momentary switch. So what you'd have to do is switch it. If you want to change disk, you'd have to go switch and back again. So you're sending the signal and then you're taking the signal away, which is kind of manual. But I'm hoping if you just sort of quickly do that, you'll get away with it and you won't double switch. That's my thoughts. But then I tested continuity on the ports and I found out that because it's connected to other things on the board, I wasn't getting like an easy on and cut off continuity. And then I read that what this actually does is it sends 5 volts down 2 different ways to the RF modulator to change the frequency. So it is hooked up to 5 volts on one side, so 2 different 5 volt rails and a ground. We need the ground because we want to connect the switch input to ground, but we didn't want to have those 2 other 5 volt rails still online. So what I've done might be a bit too invasive for some people, but if you have a look there, with a knife I have etched off the traces there on that connector in the middle and that one by the 3. Tested continuity before between that pin and that was live. Now I've cut the trace, that is not. And the same between there and the next position on the trace being here. Continuity was there, now with that cut it is not. And this one here goes to ground. We've left that in place. So what we ultimately want to do, start the switch in its towards us position, and if we cut back, we want to do is put our ATR input into that one, I believe, and then by switching and switching back again, we're going to trigger that signal to switch the discs. So that is the plan, and we'll see how that one works out in a little while. Okay, so let's have a look at this, what we are going to be doing. Yeah, so it's going to, I think, stay underneath. So all we really need to do is solder this, let's get the iron on and hot, onto there. And then we have the other end of our connector for our ATR switch. Okay, that'll do. Right. Tuck that down. Maybe just tape that together just to stop these coming apart. Which could be a bit annoying during troubleshooting. Just tuck that nicely back there. Okay. Right, let's go for it. Let's put the top case on and test if we can soon. Let's give this a little try. So we're going to go for the first disc. Here we go. Demo. And we start to load, and do we get to about 50% and it will want another disc. Here we go. So what we're going to do is just a little flick of the channel select and then press a key. Nothing. Ha. Okay, let's try that again. It's not worked. Well, I did a quick pre-test and this was unsuccessful, and I've just realised exactly why. Read this slightly wrong, so let's just have a look at the continuity and how it's working on this. So we've got our ground, and what I thought was happening was that we got no, sorry, over to the left there, yep, we got no signal there, and I thought when you flick the switch we got connectivity to ground, but we don't. No, what we have, if I flick it off, if I check these two, nothing, flick it on, and then we got continuity. So these are both voltage rails, I believe, but we have disconnected them, these traces here. So because that is no longer connected, look, if I just do a continuity test up to there, we get nothing. If I go the other side of the trace, we pick up continuity there, but look, there's nothing there. So therefore that is your ground, that's what I want to connect to there, but it's these two that are joining. So I think what I should be safe to do this is to connect these two together, so make that pin ground, so that when we join these you're actually joining it back to that ground piece. So that's what we're going to do now. So we just need a little bit of jumper wire. I think that's better. Lovely. Right, okay. Let's check this out. Right, let's just do this continuity check. So off, we got nothing. On. Yeah. Just the way I'm touching it with the nibs, I'm not getting a great continuity, but it should be fine within the wires. That's perfect. But what we don't want is continuity anywhere further up the chain. We've got it there. We don't get it there. We don't get it there. And here. We don't get it there. But from that point, that takes us up to there. But that is not crossing that. Oh, no, it's not crossing that bridge. It's just because I touched the other one there. Perfect. I think we're there. And we're ready for our test. So let's have a look at our screen over here. Power on. Okay, let's get into the loader. And we're going to go into Newman. We're going to press the tab key for disk 1 and enter. We're going to go down, tab key, select disk 2 and enter. Then we're going to load from disk 1. Okay, it's ready for a disk. So we're just going to do a little flick back and forward and press a key. And there we continue. So yeah, that worked as planned. So the Flash JazzCat solution is creating a switch out of this, and I think you have to shave off the plastic around this button and connect your switch, get it exactly positioned underneath. I think there's some tracks to etch off of the board, and I didn't fancy doing that. I did end up scratching some tracks off the board, but they were around the RF selector switch and there wasn't this little button to position above it. So I like my solution. I don't know if anyone else fancies doing it that way. I think it achieves partially the same thing from the respect that it's still incognito. You don't know what's going on inside this machine. You haven't modified any of the external hardware. I've repurposed an existing switch. So what's missing, I think when FJC does it, he manages to get both the switch working, also this light is flashing with the hard drive. Those are auxiliary things to me. Those are nice little bells and whistles and extras. But in terms of just being able to load the games and to have a switch that works, I'm happy with that. I think it solves the problem, and it's a slightly
less skilled required to do this. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed the video. I think I've done a reasonably competent job of installing the SuperColor CPU. It looks reasonably tidy there where the Incognito is. Of course, you can't see the SuperColor CPU at all. It's completely hidden. No external cables. It's going into the existing video circuit, coming out the side there. And then, as you can see, you know, all I'm doing is flicking a little switch here when I want to flick the discs. That would have flicked it back to the other one, so we'll do that again. One thing to realise, don't leave that in the backward position because it thinks you're holding the switch down. It does freeze it up when you go into the loader. I have noticed that. So, yep, it's not ideal. It's not a momentary switch. You have to like that yourself. But hey, you know, small compromise in my book. Okay, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. And I'll see you next time. This has been TJ Atarian. Take care, everyone. Thanks again for watching, and please like and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to encourage me to make some more Atari hardware content.